She walked into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom the way powerful people walk into boardrooms. Slow, confident, certain the room belonged to her. Her Italian suit cost more than most people's cars. The Patek Philippe on her wrist could cover a family's rent for a year. And the look on her face said one thing clearly: this would be quick. If you're wondering why a billionaire real estate CEO was standing before a traffic court judge, you're not alone. On paper, this should have been nothing. A red light camera. One intersection, one moment, 5 minutes tops. But everything changed the second she opened her mouth. Before Judge Caprio could finish reviewing the case, she interrupted him. Not with an apology, not with respect, but with a question that revealed exactly who she thought she was. "How much is this going to cost me?" she said. "I'll write a check right now so we can both get back to more important matters." That wasn't impatience. That was belief. Belief that money could replace accountability. Belief that court was just another transaction. Judge Caprio looked up slowly. Calm, still. "This is a court hearing," he said, "not a business deal." She smiled. Not embarrassed, not concerned. "Everything is a business deal, Your Honor. I have people like you." In that moment, the air in the courtroom changed. Because when someone tells a judge that they own people like him, they aren't just disrespecting the bench. They're revealing how they see the world. What happens next is not about a traffic violation. It's about arrogance meeting its limit. It's about wealth discovering its boundaries. And it's about a judge who has spent decades reminding people of one simple truth. Money can buy many things, but it cannot buy respect, and it certainly cannot buy justice. Before we go any further, if you believe the courtroom should be the one place where everyone is equal, billionaire or broke, take a moment to subscribe. Because this story is about to teach one of the most expensive lessons of a billionaire's life. Monday morning, 9:45 a.m., Providence Municipal Court. The bailiff called the case in a steady voice. Case number 16-294, Rebecca Bancroft, traffic control device violation. A woman in her mid-50s stepped forward with the confidence of someone who had never waited for permission in her life. Everything about Rebecca Bancroft announced wealth. The tailored Ermenegildo Zegna suit, the silk Hermes scarf draped casually around her neck, polished shoes, diamond earrings, not flashy, deliberate. She didn't look nervous. She didn't look concerned. She looked bored. Judge Frank Caprio glanced up from the file in front of him. "Good morning, Ms. Bancroft." "Good morning," she replied. "No, Your Honor." No pause. Just 2 words, the way someone greets a barista before ordering coffee. Judge Caprio didn't react. He rarely did. He simply continued. "Ms. Bancroft, you were cited for running a red light at the intersection of Westminster and Way Bossett. The red light camera shows your 2024 Bentley Continental entering the intersection 1.3 seconds after the light turned red. Do you recall this incident?" Rebecca pulled out her phone, checked her calendar, scrolled briefly. Then she looked back up. "Not exactly. I go through dozens of intersections every day, but I'm sure it happened." "Your cameras don't lie, do they?" "The evidence supports the citation," Judge Caprio said evenly. "Great," she smiled. "So how much do I owe?" She reached into her jacket and pulled out a leather checkbook. Actual paper checks, thick, expensive, almost ceremonial. "Let's settle this," she said. "I have a 10:30 meeting. Investors flying in from Dubai. They don't wait." The courtroom shifted. This wasn't how people usually spoke here. This wasn't urgency. This was assumption. Judge Caprio remained calm. "Ms. Bancroft, this isn't about settling. This is a court hearing to determine—" "With all due respect, Your Honor," she interrupted, "I know how this works. I ran a red light. I'll pay the fine. Let's not waste each other's time with theater." She tapped the checkbook lightly against the podium. "You tell me the number, I write the check. We both move on." Judge Caprio paused. "The fine for a red light violation is $85, he said. "However, 85. She laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a genuine one. "Your Honor, I spend more than that on lunch." She flipped the checkbook open. "Let me write you a check for $500. Call it a donation. Traffic safety, courthouse renovations, whatever fund you want." A few people in the gallery exchanged glances. Judge Caprio's voice hardened just slightly. "Ma'am, I don't accept donations in place of legal procedure." Rebecca sighed, slowly, loudly, the way someone sighs when explaining something obvious to a child. "Look, I respect that you have a process," she said, "but I'm a businesswoman. Time is money. My time is valued at about $12,000 an hour. That means every minute I stand here costs me $200. She leaned forward. "Can we expedite this?" Judge Caprio set down his pen. "Ms. Bancroft, your hourly rate doesn't change how this court operates." She smiled again, tighter this time. Everything has a price, Your Honor. Everything. There's always a way to make things move faster if you're willing to pay for efficiency. The room grew quiet, because now everyone understood. This was no longer about a red light. This was about someone who truly believed the rules were optional if you were rich enough. Judge Caprio looked at her steadily. This court does not operate on your timeline, he said, and it does not operate on your financial principles. Rebecca's smile faded. I'm not every other citizen, she replied calmly. I employ over 2,000 people. I pay more in taxes in 1 quarter than most people earn in a lifetime. And with that, the line was drawn. The room stayed quiet after Rebecca Bancroft mentioned the 2,000 people she employed. Not the quiet of confusion, the quiet of discomfort. Judge Frank Caprio leaned back slightly in his chair, studying her the way he studied every defendant, not as a balance sheet, not as a title, but as a human being. Your financial success is admirable, he said calmly. Employing 2,000 people is commendable, but none of that entitles you to special treatment in this courtroom. Rebecca crossed her arms. I'm not asking for special treatment, she said. I'm asking for efficient treatment. There's a difference. Judge Caprio nodded once. Efficiency is exactly what everyone receives here. The same process applies to the person who stood here before you and the person who will stand here after you. Her patience snapped. Your Honor, she said, her voice sharpening. Do you know who I am? I don't mean that arrogantly. I mean it literally. Do you know what Bancroft Development Corporation is? I'm aware of your company, Judge Caprio replied. Yes. That answer emboldened her. Then you know I develop commercial real estate across New England. Office buildings, shopping centers, luxury condominiums. She gestured vaguely toward the window. The building 3 blocks from here, mine. The hotel across the street, also mine. The parking structure where I left my Bentley this morning, mine. A murmur rippled through the gallery. Judge Caprio remained composed. I'm aware you're a significant property owner, he said. Rebecca smiled, sensing momentum. I'm not just a property owner. I'm an economic engine for this city. When I build, hundreds of construction workers have jobs. When I lease, space tax revenue supports schools, roads, police departments, courts. She paused, then continued. People like me keep cities like Providence running. The temperature in the room changed. Judge Caprio's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. And where do people like me fit into that picture, Ms. Bancroft, he asked. For a brief moment, she hesitated. She felt at the edge. But pride pushed her forward. I didn't mean any disrespect, she said. I'm just being honest. Society has a hierarchy. Some people create value. Others maintain systems. Both are necessary, but one is more economically vital. So Judge Caprio said quietly, judges maintain systems, and billionaires create value. In simple terms, yes, she replied. You enforce laws that people like me operate within. It's complementary. Judge Caprio leaned forward. Would you say I work for you? Rebecca knew this was dangerous ground, but she stepped anyway. In a philosophical sense, yes, she said. My taxes pay your salary. The economic activity my company generates funds public services. In that framework, public servants serve taxpayers, and I'm one of the largest taxpayers in this state. The courtroom fell into complete silence. So because you pay substantial taxes, Judge Caprio said slowly, you believe I serve you. I believe it's transactional, Rebecca answered. I contribute financially. The system provides services, law enforcement, infrastructure, courts. You're part of that service infrastructure. Judge Caprio nodded. Service infrastructure, he repeated. An interesting phrase for the judicial branch of government. She tried to soften it. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm explaining how the world works. Without people creating wealth, there is no court system, no judges, no bailiffs. None of this exists without taxpayers like me. So we should be grateful, Judge Caprio said. I didn't say that. But it's what you meant. Her face flushed. You're twisting my words. This is basic economics. And then she said it. The sentence that erased any remaining distance between arrogance and consequence. Look, Your Honor, Rebecca said, her voice tight with impatience. I don't mean to be rude, but I own people like you. I own the buildings you work in. I own the economy that makes your salary possible. So can we please finish this transaction? No one breathed. For 5 long seconds, Judge Frank Caprio said nothing. For 5 full seconds, Judge Frank Caprio said nothing. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't react. He didn't interrupt. He simply looked at Rebecca Bancroft. The kind of look that doesn't search for words, it searches for truth. The courtroom was frozen. No shuffling, no whispers. Even the air felt heavy. Then Judge Caprio spoke. Ms. Bancroft, he said quietly, did you just tell me that you own me? Rebecca blinked. I didn't mean it literally, she said quickly. I meant economically. In terms of You said, Judge Caprio interrupted, his voice still calm. I own people like you. He paused. There is no economic framework where that statement is acceptable. Rebecca's confidence collapsed in real time. I apologize if it came out wrong, she said. I was trying to illustrate. You were trying to remind me that you're rich and I'm not, Judge Caprio said. That you create value and I merely maintain systems. That your time is worth $200 a minute and mine is apparently worth nothing. That's not what I... Stop talking. Her mouth closed instantly. Judge Caprio leaned forward now. Not angry, focused. I've been a judge for over 30 years, he said. I've seen billionaires and I've seen broke college students. I've seen powerful executives and homeless veterans. And here's what I've learned. He let the words settle. Money does not determine character. Power does not create wisdom. And wealth does not buy respect. Rebecca's face had gone pale. Your Honor, she said softly now, I sincerely apologize. I was out of line. You were more than out of line, Judge Caprio replied. You were contemptuous. He gestured toward the courtroom. You walked in here believing your net worth exempted you from basic human decency. You treated this hearing like a business transaction. And when I didn't immediately bow to your financial status, you told me, you own me. He turned to his computer and began typing. Slowly, deliberately. Each keystroke sounded louder than the last. This court does not exist because wealthy people allow it to exist, he continued. This court exists because the rule of law protects everyone, including people who will never own a building or sit on a corporate board. Rebecca's hands were trembling. I didn't intend disrespect, she whispered. You intended dominance, Judge Caprio said. And you mistook public service for servitude. The room felt smaller now, closer, more intimate. Ms. Bancroft, he continued, the standard fine for running a red light is $85. That's what you came here expecting to pay. She nodded weakly. But we are no longer in a standard situation. Judge Caprio looked up and met her eyes. Under Rhode Island, general law judges have discretion to enhance penalties when a defendant demonstrates contempt for judicial authority. Rebecca swallowed hard. Today he said you referred to this court as theater. You attempted to expedite justice with money. You stated that your time is more valuable than the court's time. You suggested public servants exist because wealthy people allow them to exist. He paused. And you told a sitting judge that you own him. Silence. Pure. Total. Unavoidable. Rebecca's voice cracked. Your Honor, please. Judge Caprio's expression didn't change. This, he said, is the moment where money stops working. Judge Frank Caprio looked down at his screen one last time. Then he looked back up at Rebecca Bancroft. Ms. Bancroft, he said, the standard fine for running a red light is $85. Her shoulders relaxed for a fraction of a second. But he continued, you are not being fined today for simply running a red light. Her breath caught. You are being held accountable for contempt of court. The courtroom leaned forward as one. For the record, Judge Caprio said calmly, $85 is for the traffic violation. He paused. $4,915 is for your conduct in this courtroom. The words landed heavy. Your total fine is $5,000. An audible gasp rippled through the gallery. Rebecca's face drained of color. $5,000, she said, stunned. For being honest, no, Judge Caprio replied. For being contemptuous. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You attempted to reduce this court to a transaction. You attempted to buy efficiency. You suggested that wealth entitles you to deference. And you told a sitting judge that you own him. Rebecca shook her head in disbelief. I apologize, she said. I said it came out wrong. You apologized after you realized there were consequences, Judge Caprio said. That's not remorse. That's damage control. Her tone shifted. This is an abuse of power, she snapped. I'll appeal this. My attorneys will. Please do, Judge Caprio interrupted. I welcome the appeal. He leaned back slightly. Because any appellate judge will review the video of you standing in this courtroom and saying, I own people like you. And I am confident this ruling will be upheld. Rebecca tried one last time. I employ 2,000 people, she said desperately. I have a company to run. Investors. Responsibilities. And I have a courtroom to run, Judge Caprio replied. With rules that apply equally to everyone. He let the words settle. In this room, your net worth is irrelevant. Then he continued. But Ms. Bancroft, I am not finished. Her eyes widened. There is something else you need to learn, he said. Something your money has clearly never taught you. Judge Caprio typed again. In addition to the $5,000 fine, you are ordered to complete 50 hours of community service. Rebecca stared at him. Community service, she said. I'm a CEO. I don't have time for... You told this court your time is worth $200 per minute, Judge Caprio said evenly. So 50 hours of your time equals $600,000 in value. He looked directly at her. Consider it a contribution to the community you claim to support. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Where? You will complete your service at Providence Community Kitchen, he said. You will serve meals, wash dishes, take out trash, do whatever is needed. Rebecca swallowed hard. You're assigning a billionaire to wash dishes. I'm assigning a woman who needs humility. Judge Caprio replied to serve people she's never noticed. The courtroom was silent. This is not humiliation, he continued. This is accountability. Judge Caprio straightened. You have 30 days to pay the fine, 90 days to complete your service. Failure to comply will result in a warrant for your arrest. He paused. And one more thing. Rebecca looked up. You don't own justice, you don't own respect, and you do not own the rule of law. He nodded once. You're dismissed. Rebecca Bancroft left the courtroom without saying another word. Her head was down. Her phone stayed in her purse. The confidence she had walked in with never followed her out. Outside, she called her attorney. Angry, humiliated, talking about appeals. But when her lawyer watched the courtroom footage the moment she said, I own people like you, the advice was blunt. Rebecca, he said, if you appeal this, every news outlet in America will run that clip. You'll become the face of entitled billionaires. Pay the fine, do the service, and never speak to a judge like that again. 3 weeks later, Rebecca Bancroft walked into Providence Community Kitchen. No suit, no scarf, no driver waiting outside. Just jeans, a polo shirt, and uncertainty. The kitchen manager, Maria, a 62-year-old woman who had run the place for 2 decades, looked her over. You're the billionaire the judge sent, Maria asked. Yes, ma'am. You ever worked in a kitchen? No, ma'am. Then you're on dishes. Follow me. For 4 hours, Rebecca washed plates, scrubbed pots, took out trash. Her hands wrinkled, her back ached. Hundreds of people passed through, families, elderly couples, veterans. During a break, she sat outside. A homeless veteran sat beside her. You're that rich woman from the news, right? He asked. The one who told the judge she owns people. Rebecca winced. Yeah, she said quietly. That was me. That was stupid, he said. Yes, she replied, it was. The man nodded slowly. You know what he said. You don't own dignity. Can't buy it, can't sell it. Either you have it or you don't. You didn't that day. But you're here now. So maybe you're learning. By her 20th hour, Rebecca was different. She listened more. She learned names. She asked questions not about profit, but about people. By her 50th hour, Maria pulled her aside. Most wealthy folks the judge sends quit after a few shifts, Maria said. You didn't. You showed up. Every time. Rebecca nodded. I thought money made me better than others, she said. It doesn't. I needed to be reminded. 6 months later, Providence Community Kitchen received an anonymous donation. $500,000. The note read, for food, for supplies, for dignity, from someone who learned respect the hard way. Maria knew exactly who sent it. Rebecca Bancroft walked into court worth $1.8 billion. She walked out $5,000 poorer, 50 hours humbler, and finally aware of something money never taught her. Courtrooms are the great equalizer. Net worth doesn't matter here. Property doesn't buy power. And respect is never for sale. Judge Frank Caprio didn't just enforce the law that day. He reminded a billionaire and everyone watching that you can own half a city, but you will never own justice. If this story moved, you share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you believe respect matters more than wealth, subscribe for more stories where Judge Caprio proves that dignity always comes first.